Have you noticed that women sometimes look at you differently, even when you don't say anything or try to get their attention? And on the other hand, have you noticed that other days you seem invisible? The difference isn't in your haircut or outfit, it's in your energy. More precisely, in what you take away or waste. Society teaches us that men should constantly release their sexual energy, as if it's healthy. But what almost no one tells us is that the more we empty ourselves, the less present we are, and women, even if they don't rationally understand it, perceive it in the air. They don't react to what you say, but to what you emit. You can have the same face, the same body, the same tone of voice, but when you accumulate energy, the world treats you differently. Your energy field changes, your gaze thickens, your aura becomes more assertive, your presence begins to flow naturally. In this video, you'll understand why. We'll explore sexual energy as a magnetic field, retention as a spiritual tool, and the invisible power that emerges when you learn to preserve your essence. If you want to understand why women notice you, even without saying a word, and how to consciously leverage it without manipulation, stay until the end. This video isn't about conquest, but about presence, and that's it. Modern men are always looking to appear more attractive. Games, expensive clothes, cars, social status, phrases designed to impress. But there's something none of these things can create: the aura. The aura isn't a mystical invention. It's the subtle energy field you carry when you enter a place. And every woman, consciously or unconsciously, knows this. Even before you speak, she already perceives you, because you don't just convey words, you convey what you carry within you. And this is the truth, which almost no one wants to accept or deny. A person without stored energy is invisible. Their aura is weak, their presence is empty, their gaze is too light, and all of this screams that something is missing. Now observe the opposite. Men who speak little, who walk in silence, and yet who seem to occupy more space than others, who have no need to conquer. They simply are. These men have cultivated something strange in their energetic density. And how do you cultivate this? Through restraint, pleasure control, inner silence, and the renunciation of haste and distraction. Every time you decide not to be impulsive, your energy solidifies within you. It rises up your spine, strengthens your outlook, and soothes your anxiety. And women perceive this as mystery, authority, and security, even if they can't explain it. The masculine aura is like an invisible magnetic field. Atreus repels, imposes, or dissolves. And you can't fake it, you build it. That's why so many men complain. Oh, I did everything right. I was polite, kind, attractive, and nothing at all. Why was he ignoring me? What was missing wasn't appearance, but presence. The energy you exude daily in videos, fantasies, and solitary desires is the same energy that could form your aura, your field, your silent identity. True male magnetism isn't born from acting. It arises from restraint, from resistance rather than surrender, from channeling rather than seeking liberation. The more you cultivate this energy within yourself, the more people will notice it, even if they don't understand it. They watch, react, open up, or move away, because the aura is the first judgment and it doesn't lie. You may have studied everything there is to know about seduction, but if your energy is low, your body will speak louder, saying, "Oh no, I belong to you." So remember this phrase as a principle. The masculine aura cannot be bought. It must be cultivated and begins to form in the silence of your discipline. There comes a moment in a person's life that marks the beginning of a significant change. It's almost imperceptible, yet profoundly real. It's the moment when we decide to stop holding back, not out of fear or moralism, but because we finally understand that there is something greater to build with this energy. And that's when something starts to change. At first, you don't notice it, but after a few days or even weeks, the world starts to react differently. People look at you more, listen to you more, or even feel uncomfortable without knowing why. This happens because it's felt. Retention creates a density in a man's sound field that can't be ignored. His voice begins to carry more weight. Their eyes no longer jump from one stimulus to another. Their presence begins to say, "Oh, I am here and I am complete." Most men live fragmented lives. Part of their energy resides in their cell phones, another part in their memories, another in their desire for pleasure. They move, but they don't occupy space. They speak, but do not convey the truth. They move, but leave no trace. The person who ceases to be empty, on the other hand, begins to become intimate with himself. And this inner intimacy resonates. Women sense it first, not with words, but instinctively. They perceive something solid in it, something that seeks neither to please, nor to demonstrate, nor to conquer, something acquired. And that is the whole paradox. The less you try to be noticed, the more noticed you are, because the world responds to motivation, not effort. You can stand still in a hallway and still be the most noticed person, not because you shout, but because you take care of yourself. Your energy, your gaze, your essence. This creates a magnetic silence, a pause around you, as if everything around you needs to adjust its frequency. And that's when you understand that you don't need to chase tension. You just need to stop wasting what would make you magnetic. What happens when you stop emptying yourself is that you finally begin to inhabit your own body. Your soul is no longer scattered. Your once fleeting energy begins to ground you. You walk differently, speak more calmly, think more clearly, and without a word the world perceives you. Because standing firm is not just a matter of desire, it is a matter of command. And those who control themselves leave their presence wherever they go. There are men who exercise their authority through speech, and others who don't need to speak. They walk into a room and everything changes. The sound seems to fade, people adjust their posture, gazes shift or focus. This kind of presence cannot be manufactured. It can only be built from within. It is the power of sexual energy, held, channeled, transmuted. It is not magic, it is magnetism. And this magnetism is silent but irresistible. When a person stores their energy, they effectively charge their own magnetic field. And this field, once filled, begins to communicate with them. There is something discreet, strong, dangerous, but at the same time determined about him. This kind of man doesn't need to prove anything, because everything about him confirms it. His silence is worth 1,000 arguments. Your gaze is more penetrating than any word, and your presence carries an invisible sentence. And I belong to myself. The world respects who you belong to. Most men seek to be noticed by shouting, competing and showing off, but great men don't. They've learned that the more energy they store, the less they need to use. It's like fire, there's no point running. Just being there commands respect. And that's the truth about Uranil. A man who has accumulated energy doesn't need to attract attention. A man with pent-up energy naturally commands respect, not because he's better, but because he's a complete person. And integrity in a fragmented world is rare. Women feel it, men feel it, and the world around them responds. It is as if the body was saying, I am in order, and if you want to be in my presence, make yourself comfortable. This is true order, not the one that shouts, but the one that imposes without force. This invisible but palpable energy, this firmness that needs no explanation, only sensation, and this presence is not born of pride. It is born of the self-control of those who have overcome haste, who have rejected ease, who have understood that saving is better than spending. True respect is not earned through fear. It is granted spontaneously to those whose presence already sends a message. So the next time someone asks you how to be more respected, don't think about what you're going to say. Think about what you've saved. Because presence is a reflection of what you haven't given up. You can lie with words, disguise your intentions, feign confidence, but you can't fool a woman's instincts. Before every sentence, before the first touch, before the first glance, she's already felt it. She's sensed the presence, the dominance, the energy, or its absence. The feminine instinct was shaped to identify security. And security doesn't come from money, looks, or a resume. It comes from something more subtle, a man's energetic stability. A woman senses the field. She senses when a man is at peace with his body, when his desire isn't pouring out in all directions, when he isn't hungry, but is focused. And this understanding happens in seconds. You may not know how to explain it. You may even contradict yourself, but your body has already reacted before your mind. That's why when you begin to support, protect your energy, purify your field, and stop emptying yourself in search of pleasure, the feminine feels it, not because you are trying to attract, but because you have stopped repelling. Men dominated by desire radiate anxiety. Even though they try hard to appear confident, something in their eyes betrays haste, need, hunger. And a woman's body perceives this as a threat, a distraction, something to be avoided, explored, and then rejected. But when a man maintains his energy, a serene confidence emanates from him. He desires nothing, demands nothing, blesses nothing. He is simply fulfilled. And this activates an ancestral feminine response. This man is a haven of peace. That's why often without you saying a word, he observes you, notices you, approaches you, tests you, because he perceives your field. And this field carries within it what you have done with your energy in recent days. If you squander it impulsively, you'll feel weak. If you hoard it deliberately, you'll feel like you're in a leadership position. Don't over-spiritualize it or trivialize it. The body speaks, instinct responds, and energy communicates. To consciously attract women, you don't need to memorize phrases. You need to master your desire, and in doing so, your presence begins to speak for you. She'll sense it before she even understands it. A true warrior doesn't enter to conquer. He enters silently, and his silence carries 1,000 words of wisdom. In today's world, seduction has become a performance of formulas, techniques, emotional triggers, and psychological games. But all these tricks have one thing in common. They only work with empty men, because a man full of energy, presence, and discipline doesn't need to seduce, doesn't convince, doesn't prove himself. He simply is. Why? The silence of a warrior is different from that of the weak. The weak are silent out of fear. The warrior is silent out of domination. He has already conquered himself, fought against easy desire, and this triggers an instinctive reaction. A part of her senses an intense field, a solid structure, an active source. Without even realizing it, she reacts. Perhaps she approaches, perhaps she becomes nervous, perhaps she wants to try something, or perhaps she senses something that attracts her and, at the same time, frightens her. This is the impact of contained masculine energy, and this is where a real man shines. Don't use this to manipulate. Stay focused, because your goal is not to provoke a reaction, but to preserve your integrity. That's why you must be vigilant. When you begin to cultivate your energy, the outward reactions increase, but so do the challenges, because something inside you has become strange. And anything strange creates a movement around you. A woman realizes that you are not there to attract attention. You are fulfilled. You're not thirsty, you are satiated. And this changes the way she reacts. Your gaze deepens, your questions become more deliberate, your jokes more frequent, but make no mistake. It's not about being handsome or attractive. It's about having a scope. And that scope was built in silence, in the denial you made of yourself, in the discipline you maintained when no one was watching, in the decision to stick to it when everyone told you they would denounce you. So when the reactions come, and they will, don't worry, remember, you didn't do it for them, you did it for yourself, and what they feel now is just a reflection of a man who has finally learned to live in the presence of himself. Ultimately, the real difference between an ordinary man and a magnetic man lies in one thing: who controls his body. Ordinary men belong to the world, to vice, to haste, to desire. They live for stimulation. All it takes is an image, a provocation, an impulse, and they give in. They are always searching, always lacking, always searching for themselves, and the world perceives it, and so do women. But a man who belongs to himself is different. He doesn't let himself be distracted by anything. He doesn't give his energy away under any circumstances. He saves, he withdraws, he decides, and that changes everything. Because what impresses a woman most is not what she offers, but what she doesn't give up so easily. He notices when you have something precious, and you're not offering it out of necessity. He notices when your gaze isn't desperate, when your body isn't saying, "Oh, please, look at me, but I'm already whole." And if you want to come, do it completely. He's the man they respect, not because he imposes himself, but because he owns himself. He has control, a precise direction, over what he feels and what he does there, and this presence is so unusual that it becomes sacred. It is no longer about seducing, conquering, or impressing. It is about emanating. The man who belongs to himself conveys this effortlessly, through the tone of his voice, the rhythm of his breathing, the firmness of his gaze, the clear boundaries he sets, without resorting to threats. And the woman senses it immediately. She feels she can't play with his energy. She senses that by getting close to him, she will have to lower herself to his level, because he won't lower himself. She feels she's dealing with a man who doesn't need her to feel alive. And that's precisely why she desires him. The world is full of men who lose themselves in the quest for attention, but a real man is one who never gives up on himself. And this is felt because the body speaks, the aura communicates, and the presence conveys what no words can explain. It is the man who carries within him something unsaleable, inimitable, inaccessible in his inner sovereignty, and the woman who finds it, even if she does not understand it, knows it. This man belongs to himself, and therefore he is dangerous. Dangerous in his games, dangerous in his superficiality, dangerous for any relationship where the truth is unwelcome. For when a man belongs to himself, the whole world organizes itself around his presence. If you felt this video as a mirror, if something reminded you of the man you could be, then do not ignore this call. Subscribe to our Alchemia Kundalini channel. This journey begins here. Each video is a spiritual tool that helps you reconnect with yourself. Comment below and I will control my energy. Write it as a public vow, as if you had made a pact with your own energy. Share this video with another warrior who is silently fighting desire. He needs to know he's not alone. The more we hold on, the higher we rise. The more we protect ourselves, the more the world begins to feel